Imagine surviving a horrific, terrifying plane crash. You wake up surrounded by twisted metal, deep in an impenetrable jungle, miraculously alive. You think the worst is over, right? But what if the crash was just the beginning? What if you suddenly realized that the most dangerous thing in this entire jungle isn't the wildlife or the elements, but the fellow survivors sitting right next to you? Welcome to a truly chilling explainer of a survival mystery that's going to make you question absolutely everyone you trust.
Okay, let's dive into this. We're breaking down a gripping, high-stakes scenario that plays out like a terrifying game of chess right in the middle of the Amazon rainforest. It's basically a masterclass in paranoia, deception, and survival psychology. By the end of this explainer, you're going to be looking for clues in every single detail, trying to figure out who the true mastermind actually is.
Part 1. The Amazon plane crash, a sudden divert. So, our story begins on a small passenger plane. A routine flight originally bound for America. But out of nowhere, the flight attendant announces a sudden change in route. The excuse? Bad weather. The plane is diverted directly over the vast, unforgiving Amazon. Suddenly, the GPS fails. The control panels completely freeze up. Radio communication goes dead. They are entirely cut off from the outside world. And this right here brilliantly illustrates the looming dread of this situation. Right before the crash, the pilot pulls out his phone and records a chilling final video. He whispers that there are massive secrets hidden on this plane, and he suspects this whole disaster was planned. Literally moments later, the plane violently plummets. The pilot desperately uses tree branches to kind of slow their descent, but the impact is devastating. The flight attendant, who wasn't wearing a seatbelt, is killed instantly. The pilot survives, but is horrifically impaled by thick tree branches. Section 2. The 8 survivors, stranded and alone. The dust settles, and the terrifying reality of the aftermath sets in. The passengers check their phones. Zero signal. They're stranded hundreds of miles from civilization, and get this, because the route was changed in secret, no rescue team is coming to look for them out here. To make matters even worse, they quickly realize they only have 3 days worth of food and water. 8. We start with exactly 8 uninjured survivors, 8 total strangers trapped in extreme isolation with a terrifying ticking clock of survival. If they don't find a way out or figure out how to work together, starvation is absolutely going to take them. Now, what's really interesting here is the absolute lack of reliability in our cast of characters. Look at this breakdown. When they introduce themselves, Jack claims to be an insurance investigator. Christy says she's a travel vlogger. Danny and Amy are just sweet honeymooners. And David and Lisa are simple hotel owners. But every single one of them is lying. Christy is actually a hardcore crime reporter. Danny was Amy's family driver, and they're literally on the run. David and Lisa are secretly carrying a loaded gun. The entire foundation of this group is built entirely on lies. Part 3. The murders begin, and no one is safe. The group's only real hope is that impaled pilot. He knows the secret of the crash. Dr. Kevin, one of the passengers, steps up and performs a brutal, anesthesia-free surgery using just a kitchen knife and alcohol to save the pilot's life. Miraculously, the surgery is a success. The pilot's resting, and for a brief, fleeting moment, the group has a glimmer of hope that they might get some actual answers in the morning. But well, that hope is violently snuffed out on night 1. While everyone's sleeping outside, a dark, masked figure sneaks up to the recovering pilot, covers his mouth, and intentionally smothers him to death right there in the dark. Morning breaks, and the group is just horrified. Dr. Kevin claims it was a medical complication, but Lisa, who used to be a nurse, recognizes the dark discoloration on the pilot's face. She knows he was suffocated. It was cold-blooded murder. Meanwhile, in all the chaos, Danny secretly steals the pilot's phone, even cutting off the dead pilot's finger to use the fingerprint scanner to unlock it. I mean, wow, the paranoia is incredibly infectious at this point. Who is silencing the witnesses? 7. Just like that, our survivor count drops to 7. The group dynamics completely fracture. To make matters worse, their 3-day food supply is suddenly stolen. But amid the despair, the wrestler, Carlos, miraculously finds a broken GPS device in the wreckage and actually manages to fix it. A brand new sliver of hope. But let's track the timeline of the carnage here, because the killer is just getting started. On day 2, while foraging, they find these highly toxic blue mushrooms. That night, David dies in his sleep, literally foaming at the mouth. Someone had secretly harvested those blue mushrooms and slipped them into David's dinner. What you really should take away from this is the sheer ruthlessness of the killer. See, David had actually eaten his wife Lisa's portion of the food, meaning the killer might have been aiming for someone else entirely. 6. The countdown continues, dropping to 6. The survivors now realize this wasn't just a tragic accident followed by a panic-induced murder. No, this is a premeditated, calculated hunt. All trust completely shatters. They start sleeping apart, just eyeing each other with pure suspicion.
Part 4. The Smuggler's Secret, a desperate climb. Their only lifeline is that newly repaired GPS device, but it needs to be taken to the very top of a nearby mountain to catch a signal. It's a desperate expedition that's going to push this fractured group to its absolute limits.
So they split up. Jack stays to guard the camp. Carlos, Dr. Kevin, and Christy make the treacherous climb. During the ascent, Christy slips and nearly falls to her death, taking the GPS with her. In a moment that builds some false trust, Carlos and Kevin risk their lives to pull her up. They reach the peak, activate the device, and return to camp, hoping rescue is imminent. But that very night, Carlos is brutally stabbed to death by someone wearing his own wrestling mask.
5. We are down to 5, and the psychological blows just keep coming. When they rush back up the mountain to check the GPS, they discover the horrifying truth. The killer had secretly followed them and cut the newly repaired GPS wires. No signal was ever sent. They are entirely trapped.
So, the absolutely crucial point here is why? Why crash the plane? Why kill everyone? Well, the jungle answers them with a violent thunderstorm that straight up rips the roof off the crashed plane. Down tumble these massive bags filled with millions of dollars worth of drugs. It turns out the entire airline was a massive smuggling front. Those incredibly cheap tickets, just a cover to move illicit cargo. The crash was a planned sabotage to intercept the shipment, and the killer among them is eliminating the witnesses to claim the prize.
This storm sends everyone into a complete panic. Amy, totally terrified, runs blindly into the jungle. Lisa, armed with her secret handgun, chases after her to protect her. But in the deafening noise and blinding rain, the killer ambushes Lisa. She desperately tries to pull off their mask before she dies, but she fails. She is brutally stabbed to death right there in the mud.
4. Only 4 survivors remain. As they gather Lisa's body, the group makes a truly damning discovery. They search Jack's bag and find Lisa's stolen bullets, along with a locked satellite phone. All the evidence points directly to Jack being the mastermind who orchestrated the crash and the murders. Section 5. Only 3 remain, the final suspects. The surviving group ties Jack up. They are desperate to unlock that satellite phone to call for help. Dr. Kevin takes matters into his own hands. In one of the most intense and brutal scenes of this whole ordeal, Dr. Kevin literally tortures Jack, pulling out his fingernails one by one to force him to give up the password. Meanwhile, Christy sneaks away, risking her life to run back up the mountain and finally repair that cut GPS wire. Now here's where the whole story flips on its head. Thousands of miles away in the US, an investigator named Claire storms the airline's headquarters. She reveals that she's Jack's wife, and Jack is actually an undercover investigator on a highly classified mission to expose the drug smuggling ring. Jack didn't crash the plane. Jack isn't the killer. He was totally framed. The real killer planted the phone and bullets in his bag to use him as a scapegoat. Back in the jungle, Christy figures out the frame job and secretly cuts Jack's ropes, telling him to run into the jungle before Dr. Kevin kills him. The group is now entirely splintered. Danny, trusting literally no one, takes Amy and separates from the camp. But just as the Mexican army helicopters finally pick up Christy's repaired GPS signal and race toward the Amazon, loud gunshots echo through the trees. The young eloping couple, Danny and Amy, are gunned down from behind. 3. And then there were 3. We have plummeted from 8 hopeful survivors to just 3 exhausted, paranoid individuals. Christy the reporter, Dr. Kevin the surgeon, and Jack the undercover agent. The rescue helicopters are literally minutes away, but as these 3 stand in the jungle just eyeing each other, the ultimate question remains. The true mastermind, the person who smothered the pilot, poisoned the food, stabbed the wrestler, framed the agent, and gunned down the couple, is standing right there. With only Christy, Kevin, and Jack left alive, which one of them is the cold-blooded killer? You'll have to analyze the clues and decide for yourself before the next part of our explainer. Thanks for joining me on this deep dive.